What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's start it with our first news. Jon Jones has once again found himself in the spotlight, not for a fight announcement but for his continued trolling of interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall following the controversial eye poke incident at UFC 321. The highly debated fight between Aspinall and Ciryl Gane ended prematurely after an accidental eye poke, sparking outrage and endless online discussions. While the UFC and athletic commissions are still reviewing the incident, Jon Jones has taken a more theatrical approach to express his opinion. During the ceremonial weigh-ins for Dirty Boxing 4 Inches in Nashville, Tennessee, Jones made an entrance that instantly went viral. The former light heavyweight and current heavyweight champion arrived on horseback, a grand spectacle in itself, but what truly caught everyone's attention was the horse's eye patch. The playful but pointed stunt was an unmistakable jab at Aspinall and the eye poke controversy that ended his recent fight in confusion. The crowd erupted in laughter and surprise as Jones, dressed in a sharp black jacket and cowboy hat, waved to fans while riding his horse into the arena. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and social media lit up with clips of the moment. "Jon Jones on a horse, a goat on a horse," one commentator shouted, referencing Jones' long-standing claim as the greatest of all time. Jones seemed to relish the moment, smiling confidently and greeting the fans. As he dismounted, Jones grabbed the microphone and addressed the crowd. "What's up, Nashville, Tennessee? How about this entrance? We've got to do it right. The beautiful horse, the eye patch, everything's perfect. We're having a good night tonight." The audience roared with approval, clearly entertained by his humor and showmanship. Many saw the act as classic Jon Jones, charismatic, clever, and slightly controversial. While some fans found the stunt hilarious, others criticized it as disrespectful to Aspinall, who was visibly upset by how his fight with Gane ended. Aspinall has maintained that the eye poke was accidental and expressed frustration that the incident has overshadowed his performance. Nevertheless, Jones' sense of humor seems unbothered by the backlash. UFC insiders believe Jones' antics may be part of a larger strategy to build hype for a potential fight between him and Aspinall. With the heavyweight division in flux and fans eager to see Jones back in action, moments like these keep his name in the headlines and fuel speculation about what's next for both fighters. Whether it was a lighthearted prank or a deliberate dig, Jones once again proved his ability to command attention both inside and outside the octagon. As the UFC community debates the seriousness of the eye poke controversy and the possible rule changes coming soon, Jon Jones has managed to turn the incident into yet another memorable moment in his storied career, one that blends humor, showmanship, and undeniable star power. If history is any indication, this won't be the last time Jon Jones takes a playful shot at one of his rivals. For now, fans can only watch, laugh, and wait to see what Bones does next. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensures you'll never miss an update. Moving on to another news. UFC stars Corey Sandhagen and Curtis Blaydes recently teamed up for a candid discussion about one of the sport's most talked about moments, Tom Aspinall's eye poke incident at UFC 321. The two fighters, both known for their technical insight and analytical approach to MMA, sat down to review the footage and give their unfiltered opinions on what really happened inside the octagon. In their discussion, Sandhagen and Blaydes agreed that the eye poke looked far worse upon closer inspection. As the video slowed down, the severity of the contact became clear. "Look how far it goes into his eye on that one," Sandhagen pointed out, visibly disturbed as he watched the replay. Blaydes nodded, adding, "At first, I didn't think it was that bad, but when you slow it down, yeah, that one looks really bad." The two fighters went on to debate whether glove design could be blamed for the recurring problem of eye pokes in the UFC. Blaydes expressed skepticism, suggesting that no matter how much the gloves are adjusted, accidental pokes will always be part of the sport. "I don't think there's anything you can really do with the gloves," he said. "Some fighters just tend to poke more than others, not on purpose, but it happens." Sandhagen agreed, though he emphasized that some fighters might simply be less cautious than others. "Yeah, I think some people just poke more because they don't really care," he said. "I've heard other guys, like Derek Lewis, openly say he'll eye poke or low blow someone just to get a break. That's wild." Blaydes quickly clarified that Lewis, while known for his humor and brutal honesty, doesn't actually have a reputation for dirty fighting. "It's not like he's got a history of it. He's not Jon Jones," Blaydes said with a grin, referring to Jones' own controversial past involving eye pokes in several fights. Sandhagen then reflected on his own career, proudly noting that he's never poked an opponent in the eye. "I don't think I've ever poked anyone," he said. Blades responded, "That's because you've got great hand placement," to which Sandhagen laughed and replied, "Honestly, I think it's just because I care. I try not to poke a dude in the eye. I'm aware of where my hands are." As they continued watching the footage, both fighters agreed that Aspinall's poke appeared to be completely accidental. "It looked like he was trying to post and pull his hand back, but then it drove right into the eye," Sandhagen said. "Yeah," Blades added, "that one looked bad. Definitely unintentional, but still bad." The conversation highlighted the ongoing debate in mixed martial arts about safety, glove design, and fighter responsibility. With so many high-profile bouts affected by accidental eye pokes, fighters and fans alike have been calling for rule changes and equipment updates. Sandhagen and Blades' breakdown was thoughtful yet realistic. Both acknowledged that while accidental fouls are part of the sport, awareness and discipline can go a long way toward preventing dangerous outcomes. In the end, their analysis underscored a shared respect for Aspinall and all fighters who compete at the highest level, where even a split-second movement can change everything. As the UFC continues to explore potential updates to its glove design and eye poke regulations, voices like Sandhagen's and Blades bring much-needed insight into how fighters view these incidents, not just as athletes, but as professionals who understand the fine line between accident and negligence inside the cage. Moving on to another news, former UFC middleweight champion and current analyst Michael Bisping has shared his thoughts on one of the sport's most anticipated potential rematches, Tom Aspinall vs Ciryl Gane. Following the controversial ending to their bout at UFC 321, which ended in a no contest after an accidental eye poke, fans have been clamoring for the two heavyweights to run it back. And now, Bisping has gone a step further by proposing a specific date and event for the rematch. Speaking on his Believe You Me podcast, Bisping said the UFC should waste no time in booking the fight again. He believes that the perfect stage for the rematch would be UFC 323 in December, potentially serving as one of the year's final major pay-per-view events. "The rematch is going to be even bigger," Bisping stated. "They've got to run it back quickly. They could put it at Madison Square Garden or maybe make it the big end-of-year card. You want to end the year with a bang, and what better way than with a heavyweight rematch that everyone wants to see?" Bisping went on to suggest that the UFC could stack the December card with multiple title fights to close out the year in dramatic fashion. "You've already got Alexander Pantoja vs Joshua Van, and Merab Dvalishvili vs Petr Yan is another big one," he said. "Add Aspinall vs Gane as the third title fight. That would be incredible. 3 championship bouts to wrap up the year on ESPN? That's the kind of event you end an era with." The former champion emphasized that both fighters were in excellent form before the unfortunate ending of their first meeting. "You've got to run it back soon because both guys were peaking in camp," he explained. "They were looking sharp, and they can both make adjustments now that they've felt each other inside the octagon. That's what makes rematches fascinating. Each fighter learns something new from those first few minutes." Bisping also took a moment to analyze what fans saw during the brief encounter. "We all know Ciryl Gane can stop a takedown. He showed that early," Bisping noted, "but the real question is whether he could have continued stopping them in rounds 2, 3, and 4, when fatigue starts to set in. That's where Aspinall's wrestling and top control might have become a serious factor." The British analyst praised both men for their professionalism after the fight, pointing out that neither wanted the match to end the way it did. "They both handled it really well," he said. "No trash talk, no blaming, just mutual respect and the understanding that things like this can happen in MMA. But because of that, I think fans deserve to see the fight play out properly this time." If Bisping's proposed timeline holds true, UFC 323 could be one of the most stacked cards of the year, potentially featuring 3 title fights and a long-awaited heavyweight showdown. While the UFC has yet to make an official announcement, speculation continues to build as both fighters remain open to an immediate rematch. For now, fans can only wait to see if Dana White and the UFC matchmakers take Bisping's advice. One thing is certain, though, Aspinall vs Gane 2 has all the makings of a blockbuster bout to close out the year, a chance for redemption, and perhaps the definitive answer to who truly deserves to be at the top of the UFC heavyweight division. Moving on to another news. For years, eye pokes have been one of the most frustrating and dangerous recurring problems in mixed martial arts. Despite being accidental in most cases, these fouls have repeatedly altered the outcomes of major UFC fights, leaving fighters injured and fans furious. After the controversial ending of UFC 321, where the heavyweight bout between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane ended in a no contest, the issue has finally reached a breaking point, and it appears the UFC UFC may be on the verge of taking real action. The UFC 321 main event was meant to be a showcase for the heavyweight division, but instead, it became another chapter in the sport's ongoing struggle with eye pokes. The accidental foul left Gane unable to continue, sparking heated debate over whether Aspinall should have been disqualified or if the no contest ruling was the right call. Fans and analysts alike were divided, but everyone seemed to agree on one thing: the UFC's current handling of eye pokes is no longer sustainable. During the post-fight press conference, UFC CEO Dana White confirmed that a rematch between Aspinall and Gane is already being planned. However, when asked about the eye poke controversy, White avoided giving a direct answer. He offered no details about potential rule adjustments or any steps the promotion might be taking to prevent similar incidents in the future. That silence only fueled speculation that the organization was feeling pressure behind the scenes to finally address the issue. Enter Josh Thompson, a former UFC fighter and respected analyst, who may have provided the first real insight into what's coming next. Speaking on the Weigh In podcast, Thompson claimed that the UFC is preparing to implement drastic new measures to address eye pokes, possibly as soon as next week. There are going to be changes coming soon, Thompson revealed. I don't know what you've heard, but I've heard it yesterday and today. This might happen by next week. They're looking to make these changes quickly, and it's going to take things out of the ref's hands. The referee won't be able to make it a judgment call anymore. If Thompson's comments are accurate, this would represent a major shift in how the UFC handles accidental fouls. Currently, referees have full discretion in deciding whether an eye poke is accidental or intentional and whether the fight should continue, end in a no contest, or result in a disqualification. Under the rumored new system, however, that authority could be transferred to an independent review panel or judges, ensuring more consistency and fairness across fights. The potential reform has already sparked excitement and curiosity among fighters and fans. Many believe that taking these critical decisions out of a single referee's hands could help reduce controversy and improve safety. Others argue that adding another layer of oversight could slow down fights and complicate officiating, but most agree that something needs to change. With UFC Fight Night Garcia vs. Onama scheduled for this weekend, fans won't have to wait long to see if the rumors are true. If the UFC follows through, next week could mark a turning point in combat sports officiating, one where the long-standing issue of eye pokes is finally addressed with clear, decisive rules designed to protect fighters and preserve the integrity of competition. Whatever form these new regulations take, one thing is certain: the days of brushing off eye pokes as just part of the game may soon be over. Moving on to another news, Justin Gaethje, one of the most explosive and entertaining fighters in UFC history, has finally revealed the real reason he rarely uses his wrestling. Despite being one of the most accomplished wrestlers in the lightweight division, a former NCAA Division I wrestler from the University of Northern Colorado, Gaethje's wrestling pedigree has always been well known, but his fighting style has consistently leaned toward high-level striking and brutal stand-up exchanges. Fans have long questioned why a fighter with such a strong grappling background chooses to go toe-to-toe instead of taking fights to the ground. In a recent video posted to his Instagram, Gaethje addressed the topic directly, giving fans a rare and honest look into his mindset. When asked about the most warranted and unwarranted criticisms he has heard about his fighting abilities, Gaethje replied, "They're probably the same thing, the fact that I come from wrestling and don't use it as much as people expect." He admitted that it's a fair critique, especially considering his background, but explained that his decision was both strategic and deeply personal. "It's probably a good criticism because I could have tried to implement it more early on in my career," Gaethje said, "but coming from wrestling and never being a striker in any way, I really fell in love with that part of it. The striking, the precision, the danger, it became what I loved most about fighting." Gaethje went on to explain that wrestling has always been a grueling sport, both physically and mentally, and that his experiences as a collegiate athlete shaped his approach to MMA. "In wrestling, we had 7-minute matches," he said. "Those 7 minutes were absolutely brutal. Now in MMA, we're talking about 25-minute fights. I remember barely being able to walk off the mat after a 7-minute match, completely exhausted. So imagine trying to wrestle for 25 minutes in an MMA fight. I'm not going to get tired in 7 minutes and then get my ass beat for the rest of the fight because I tried to wrestle too much. I'll never lose like that." The comment reflects Gaethje's strategic understanding of his strengths and limitations. While he possesses elite grappling credentials, he has built his UFC career around powerful leg kicks, heavy punches, and relentless forward pressure, tools that have made him one of the most exciting fighters in the sport. His striking-focused style style has earned him multiple Fight of the Night and Performance of the Night bonuses, as well as a reputation as one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the lightweight division. Still, Gaethje made it clear that his wrestling background isn't forgotten, it's just applied differently. "I was always the best in wrestling at stopping people from taking me down," he said. "So, my wrestling shows up in my takedown defense and balance. I use it to keep fights standing and fight my fight." His explanation provides deeper insight into his mentality. Gaethje doesn't avoid wrestling out of neglect but rather out of a calculated commitment to his style. He has adapted his wrestling base into a defensive weapon that allows him to engage opponents on his own terms, where he is most dangerous. In a sport where strategy and entertainment often collide, Justin Gaethje continues to strike a balance between both. His willingness to engage in wars, combined with his technical evolution, has made him one of the most respected and feared fighters in the UFC, and while fans may always wonder what a fully grappling-focused Gaethje might look like, the fighter himself seems perfectly content with the path he's chosen, one built on precision, pressure, and pure chaos inside the octagon.